Hello everyone, this is your instructor in Business Laws and Regulations. For today, I'm going to discuss the right of partners to engage in business and the rules on sharing of partnership liabilities to third persons. Let's start with the right of partners to engage in business. For the purposes of discussion, we will divide this into two. First is the right of industrial partner to engage in business, and second is the right of capitalist partner to engage in business. Unahin natin yung right of industrial partner to engage in business. So, meron nga bang right ang industrial partner to engage in business or other business? As a rule, an industrial partner cannot engage in business for himself. Recall na ang contribution ng industrial partner ay industry or service. So kapag ang isang tao, nag-contribute siya ng kanyang service or industry sa isang partnership, bawal siyang mag-engage sa ibang business. But there is an exception. Of course, kung merong general rule, may exception to the rule. If the partnership expressly permits the industrial partner to engage in business for himself, then that industrial partner can engage in business for himself or in other business. Take note that the permission must be express. So this is possible kung merong express agreement ang lahat ng partners na pwedeng mag-engage ang industrial partner in other business. This prohibition applies even if the business is of a kind different from the partnership. Meaning to say, bawal na mag-engage ang industrial partner sa ibang business regardless kung yung business ay same kind or different kind. Let's say na yung isang tao, industrial partner siya sa isang partnership. Yung partnership business na yon ay computer shop. Yung industrial partner, bawal siyang mag-engage sa ibang computer shop. That is same kind of business. Bawal din siyang mag-engage sa isang restaurant business. That is a different kind of business. So regardless of the kind of business, whether it's a similar kind of business or different kind of business, the industrial partner is prohibited to engage in business for himself or in other business unless that industrial partner is given express permission to engage in such business. Now, the question is, why is industrial partner prohibited from engaging in other business? Of course, there is a reason for that prohibition. The industrial partner cannot engage in other business because the partnership is the owner of the services of the industrial partner, which is his or her contribution to the common fund of the partnership. We all know that an industrial partner is a partner who contributes industry or service to the partnership. So from the moment na nagsimula na yung partnership relation, meron ng exclusive right ang partnership doon sa service or industry ng industrial partner. So pagmamay-ari na ng partnership yung service or industry ng industrial partner. What if the industrial partner engages in business for himself without the express permission of the partnership? Ano yung effect if in case nag-engage yung industrial partner sa ibang business nang wala namang express permission ng partnership? If the industrial partner engages in business for himself without the express permission of the partnership, the capitalist partners may either exclude the industrial partner from the partnership with a right to damages or avail themselves of the benefits obtained from the business he or she engaged in with a right to damages. Take note na ang ginamit na word ay either. So, isa lang ang pwedeng piliin ng capitalist partners. Hindi nila pwedeng i-avail pareho. Kapag pinili nila yung number 1, hindi na nila pwedeng gawin yung number 2. Kapag pinili nila yung number 2, hindi na nila pwedeng gawin yung number 1. So, pwedeng tanggalin nila yung industrial partner sa partnership at mag-claim ng damages, or kung hindi man, pwede silang makakuha ng share dun sa benefits na na-obtain ng industrial partner from that other business plus damages. As you can see, in either case, the capitalist partners have a right to damages. Again, if the industrial partner engages in business for himself without the express permission of the partnership, the capitalist partners have the right either to exclude the industrial partner from the partnership or to avail themselves of the benefits which the industrial partner may have obtained. In either case, or in either case, the capitalist partners have a right to damages. Now, let's proceed to the right of a capitalist partner to engage in other business. Recall na ang contribution ng capitalist partner ay money or property. So what is the kind of business that a capitalist partner may engage in? A capitalist partner may engage in business for his or her own account in the following. First, the business he or she will engage in is of a kind different from the partnership business. Meaning to say, pwedeng mag-engage ang capitalist partner sa ibang business basta yung ibang business ay different kind of business. Sir, what if same kind of business? Pwede naman as long as may stipulation or agreement ang lahat ng partners na allowed ang capitalist partner na mag-engage sa same kind of business. Kapag walang stipulation, then hindi siya allowed na mag-engage sa same kind of business. If there is no stipulation allowing the capitalist partner to engage in the same kind of business, then the capitalist partner is only allowed to engage in a different kind of business. Of course, there is a reason why a capitalist partner is prohibited to engage in the same kind of business. A capitalist partner is prohibited to engage in the same kind of business because the capitalist partner will be unfairly competing with the partnership business by reason of the information he or she has obtained from the partnership business. We all know that as a capitalist partner, he or she has access to information. Alam niya kung paano pinapatakbo yung partnership, alam niya kung ilan ang capital ng partnership, alam niya yung mga kliyente, alam niya yung financial position ng partnership business, alam niya yung financial performance ng partnership business, and others. So, pwede niyang magamit yung mga information na yan para makipag-compete sa partnership if ever he or she engages in the same kind of business. So, as a result, there will be an unfair competition between the partnership business and that same kind of business he or she engages in. That's the reason why a capitalist partner is prohibited to engage in the same kind of business. What if a capitalist partner engages in the same kind of business without a stipulation allowing him or her to engage in that same kind of business? Ano ang effect if in case nag-engage ang capitalist partner sa same kind of business nang walang stipulation or agreement na siya ay allowed na mag-engage sa same kind of business? The capitalist partner shall bring to the common fund any profits accruing to him or her from his or her transaction, and he or she shall personally bear all the losses. So kung ano man ang nakuha niya na profit from engaging in the same kind of business, dapat niyang ibigay yon sa partnership. Magiging common fund ng partnership. If meron namang losses, siya lang ang liable, hindi ang partnership. So, that's the effect if a capitalist partner engages in the same kind of business without a stipulation allowing him or her to engage in that same kind of business. Next, let's now proceed to the rules on sharing of partnership liabilities to third persons. Since the partners are members of the partnership, yung liability ng partnership sa third persons ay liability ng partners. So the partners shall share in the partnership liabilities to third persons. Ang liability ng partners ay pro rata liability at subsidiary liability. Kapag sinabing pro rata, ang ibig sabihin niyan ay in equal proportion. So sa madaling salita, equally or jointly. So the liability of the partnership shall be equally divided among the partners. Meaning to say, mag-share ang lahat ng partners doon sa partnership liability regardless kung yung partner ay industrial partner or capitalist partner. The sharing should be equal because the liability is imposed on all the partners, including an industrial partner whose proportionate share cannot be determined in the absence of a profit and loss sharing agreement since the industrial partner has no capital contribution. Aside from the pro rata liability, may subsidiary liability ang partners. Tinatawag din itong secondary liability. Each partner shall be liable with his or her separate property after all the assets of the partnership have been exhausted. Meaning to say, kapag naubos na yung assets ng partnership at meron pang natitirang liability ang partnership, then ang bawat partner ay liable up to his or her separate property. So, to simplify the nature of liability of the partners to third persons, the partners are liable equally up to their separate property after the partnership assets have been exhausted. Now, sino-sino yung mga liable na partners? The partners who are liable are the general partners, whether they are capitalist partners or industrial partners. Recall na yung general partners, liable sila up to their separate property. Yung limited partners naman, they are only liable up to their capital contributions. What if there is a stipulation exempting a partner from pro rata and subsidiary liability after the partnership assets have been exhausted? If there is a stipulation exempting a partner from pro rata and subsidiary liability after the exhaustion of partnership assets, para sa third persons, yung stipulation na yon ay void. Kasi nga 'di ba, yung third persons, gaya ng creditors, meron silang collectibles or receivables sa partnership. Para sa kanila, dapat mabayaran ng partnership lahat ng kanilang liabilities to them. Kung merong exempted na partner from pro rata liability and subsidiary liability, then these third persons can't help but assume na hindi nila makokollect yung iba nilang collectibles or receivables. However, among the partners, yung stipulation na yon ay valid. But take note that the stipulation, however, will not totally exempt a partner because his or her contribution will still be subject to the payment of partnership liabilities. Accordingly, if there is a stipulation exempting a partner from pro rata and subsidiary liability after the partnership assets have been exhausted, the liabilities shall be paid as follows. First, the assets of the partnership shall first be used to pay the liabilities. Yung partnership assets, yon ang pambabayad sa utang ng partnership. If the partnership assets are not enough to pay all the liabilities, meron pang balanse, then all the partners will share equally. Paghahatian ng partners yung balanse. Take note na yung sharing ay equal. At ang pambabayad na nila ay ang kanilang separate property or assets. Whether the partners are industrial or capitalist, they will share equally. After that, the partners not exempted from pro rata and subsidiary liability shall reimburse according to the partners' profit and loss sharing agreement or in the ratio of their capital contribution, whichever is applicable to the following partners, the amount paid by them. First, industrial partner whom the law exempts from losses, and second, general partners exempted from pro rata and subsidiary liability. I want you to listen carefully para hindi kayo malito. Itong industrial partner na exempted from losses at general partners na exempted from pro rata and subsidiary liability, wala talaga silang actual share sa liability. But since nagbayad sila equally doon sa balanse ng partnership liability at ang ginamit nilang pambayad ay yung separate property or assets nila, mayroong overpayment. Nag-share sila sa balanse when in fact wala naman silang actual share sa liability. So merong overpayment. Now, yung overpayment o kung ano man ang binayaran nila sa creditors or third persons, pwede nilang makolekt yon sa partners na hindi exempted from pro rata and subsidiary liability. Now, para makompute yung actual share ng partners sa liability, ang gagamitin natin ay yung profit and loss sharing agreement ng partners or yung ratio ng kanilang capital contribution, whichever is applicable. That means, kung merong profit and loss sharing agreement, yon ang susundin para makompute yung actual share ng partners sa liability. Kapag walang profit and loss sharing agreement, of course, ang meron lang ay yung capital contribution ng partners. Therefore, ang gagamitin ay yung ratio ng capital contribution ng partners. Let's have an example. A, B, C, D, and E are partners in A, B, C, D, E company. A is an industrial partner, B, C, D, and E are capitalist partners with contributions of 20,000 pesos, 30,000 pesos, 10,000 pesos, and 40,000 pesos, respectively. The partners stipulated that B shall not be liable for liabilities of the partnership after its assets are exhausted. After several years of operational losses, ABCDE's assets dwindled to 120,000 pesos, while its liabilities reached 160,000 pesos. The question is, how shall the liabilities be paid? First, the assets of 120,000 pesos shall first be exhausted. Yung total assets ng partnership, pambabayad sa liabilities ng partnership. After paying the 120,000 pesos, meron pang natitira na 40,000 pesos. 160,000 pesos na liabilities minus 120,000 pesos na assets, that is equal to 40,000 pesos. Since meron pang natitira na 40,000 pesos, paghahatian yon ng lahat ng partners, including the industrial partner, kasi nga, di ba, ang liability ng partners to third persons ay prorata at subsidiary. Since there are 5 partners, the partners will be liable 8,000 pesos each. 40,000 pesos divided by 5, that is equal to 8,000 pesos. Based on the ratio of the capital contributions of C, D, and E of 3 to 1 to 4, the actual share of each in the balance of 40,000 pesos is 15,000 pesos, 5,000 pesos, and 20,000 pesos respectively, while none are due from A and B. Sir, saan galing yung ratio na 3 to 1 to 4? Galing yan sa capital contributions nila C, D, at E. Ang capital contribution ni C ay 30,000 pesos, ang capital contribution ni D ay 10,000 pesos, at ang capital contribution ni E ay 40,000 pesos. So, sinimplify lang yung capital contribution nila para maging 3 to 1 to 4. Now, based on the ratio of 3 to 1 to 4, ang actual share ni C sa 40,000 pesos ay 15,000 pesos. Paano na-compute yung 15,000 pesos? I-add nyo lang yung 3, 1, at 4. 3 plus 1 plus 4, that is equal to 8. Yung 8 ang magiging denominator. So, ang actual share ni C sa 40,000 pesos ay 3 over 8. At yung 3 over 8 ang imumultiply sa 40,000 pesos. So, 40,000 pesos times 3 over 8, that is equal to 15,000 pesos. And that is the actual share of C in the balance of 40,000 pesos. Ang actual share naman ni D sa 40,000 pesos ay 5,000 pesos. Paano na-compute? 40,000 pesos times 1 over 8, that is equal to 5,000 pesos. Ang actual share naman ni E ay 20,000 pesos. Paano na-compute? 40,000 pesos times 4 over 8, that is equal to 20,000 pesos. Take note na ang ginamit natin dito ay yung ratio ng capital contribution ni C, D, at E kasi walang profit and loss sharing agreement. So, ang applicable lang ay yung ratio of their capital contribution. Walang actual share si A at B sa balanse kasi nga si A ay industrial partner. Exempted siya from losses. At si B naman ay exempted from prorata and subsidiary liability. Meron kasing stipulation ang partners na si B ay hindi liable sa liabilities ng partnership after ma-exhaust ang partnership assets. Let's study this table. The partners are A, B, C, D, and E. Since meron silang prorata liability at subsidiary liability, then they have to share equally doon sa balanse na 40,000 pesos. 40,000 pesos divided by 5, that is equal to 8,000 pesos. Each of them shall pay 8,000 pesos. Walang actual share si A sa liability dahil siya ay industrial partner. Siya ay exempted from losses. Ganon din si B since siya ay exempted from prorata liability and subsidiary liability according to the stipulation of the partners. Base sa computation natin kanina, ang actual share ni C sa liability ay 15,000 pesos. Ang actual share ni D ay 5,000 pesos at ang actual share ni E ay 20,000 pesos. Nagbayad si A ng 8,000 pesos sa creditors when in fact, wala naman siyang actual share sa liability. So may overpayment na 8,000 pesos. Ganon din si B. So may overpayment na 8,000 pesos. Nagbayad lang si C ng 8,000 pesos pero ang kanyang actual share sa liability ay 15,000 pesos. So may underpayment na 7,000 pesos. Therefore, may babayaran pa siyang 7,000 pesos. Nagbayad si D ng 8,000 pesos pero ang actual share lang niya sa liability ay 5,000 pesos. So, merong overpayment na 3,000 pesos. Nagbayad lang si E ng 8,000 pesos, pero ang kanyang actual share sa liability ay 20,000 pesos. So, merong underpayment na 12,000 pesos. Magbabayad pa siya ng 12,000 pesos kasi nga underpaid siya. As shown in this table, C and E are to give an additional amount of 7,000 pesos and 12,000 pesos respectively. Of course, that is to return A's payment of 8,000 pesos, B's payment of 8,000 pesos, and D's payment of 3,000 pesos. So, to simplify this one, yung mga partners na may overpayment, makokollect nila yung overpayment sa mga partners na may underpayment.